All right, great. Hi, everyone. Thanks for coming. My name is Aurilio, and I run the DC office for Environment America. We're a federation of 29 state-based citizen-funded organizations, and we're working for a cleaner, greener, healthier future. I have the privilege of kicking off this awesome event with all of these awesome speakers in front of the beautiful Anacostia River. And sadly, those of you being a little late missed the bald eagle, but a great environmental success for sure. I wanted to introduce Senator Cardin, then the rest of the speakers will speak, and then people will be available for questions afterwards. But first, let me say a couple of words about why we're here. We know Americans love clean water, and that's why 42 years ago, Congress passed the Clean Water Act. And that has helped restore and protect waterways like the Anacostia, which is the better for it, still not there, but the better for it. Like the Boston Harbor, which is the better for it, like the Chesapeake Bay, which is on the way up, and all of the waters in between. Unfortunately, as we know, the Clean Water Act isn't complete. It has a gaping loophole that we need to close in order to fully protect all of our waterways. And that's why 740,000 people in counting have so far commented on EPA's Clean Water Rule to do just that. Now, these comments come from Seattle to Miami to Annapolis to Bladensburg to Anacostia and all the places in between. They come from ordinary citizens, from moms, from kids who are such great artists. They come from farmers, from small businesses, from kayakers, anyone who likes to drink or boat or swim in our waterways. It's fundamental to us all. And that's why we're really thrilled here to have a true clean water champion, Senator Cardin. Senator Cardin is the subcommittee chair of the key committee on the Environment and Public Works Committee in the Senate. He has been a tireless defender of the Chesapeake Bay and the Anacostia River. If it weren't for him, many of the gains that we've made, we wouldn't have seen them. He's also been a staunch defender of the Clean Water Act and EPA's ability to clean up our waterways in the Congress, and we know we'll be counting on more of his work in the future. He's helped convene conservation groups across Maryland to work together and really restore the bay. So without further ado, I'm so pleased to introduce Senator Cardin.
Anna, thank you very much. Very generous. Thank you very much. And I want to thank all the members of your coalition that are together for clean water. You've made a huge difference. Ken Kaposis is here. I want to thank him for being the stalwart to the EPA on the clean water issues. He's been under tremendous attack, and I thank him for his incredible service to our future. Some of us do remember 42 years ago and the passage of the Clean Water Act. And we remember when rivers caught fire. We remember when PCB was in the San Francisco Bay. And we remember when dead zones were discovered on the Chesapeake Bay, and we were wondering whether we would ever have a Chesapeake Bay again that would reflect its historic, incredible beauty and productiveness. And we remember the Anacostia River when we would not have dared to bike near there or canoe on it. And now we see the progress that we've made over 42 years ago. 42 years ago, the country celebrated the Clean Water Act. President Nixon signed it into law. It was not partisan. Everybody wants clean water. People recognized that clean water was not only a beautiful thing to see, it was good for our health and good for our economy. That we had clean water, we all do better. We understood that. And we made a lot of progress for many years. Then the Supreme Court decisions in the early 2000s surprised us because they added a degree of uncertainty to the waters that we can protect, the waters of the U.S., that we really didn't understand the Supreme Court decision. They were moving us in the wrong direction. They were reversing what Congress had done. And I want to tell you, quite frankly, what Congress should have done is pass laws that clarify it. And we should have done that in a nonpartisan way, consistent with the interpretations that we knew prior to the Supreme Court decisions dealing with the waters of the U.S. That's what we should have done. But instead, particularly my colleagues in the House side, kept sending us anti-environmental riders that would have made it more difficult, not easier for us to have clean water in this country. And fortunately, we've been able to block those. Thanks to the Senate, thanks to the President, we've been able to do that. But we've got to be on guard because we need to continue to make progress on clean water. The Environmental Protection Agency had a responsibility to act, and they did act. They did propose a rule, and that rule's under comment today. and 739,000 plus of you have commented. And I thank you for that. We want to hit 1 million, so keep going. We have until November 14. And Ken appreciates it because he reads every single one of them. So we need to keep them coming in because we want to make sure that we have the tools in place. So the progress we made, that we continue to make that progress. We're not yet where we need to be on the Anacostia. We're not where we need to be on the Chesapeake Bay. And it's the waters of the U.S. that very much affect that. So this regulation, it's under a comment period, but I just have to make my own comments. And that is, the intent here is to take us back to what we thought the law was on the regulations of the waters of the U.S. About 80% of the waters would be regulated under the regulation. It does not deal with ponds or storm drains or the like, despite what the opponents would like you to believe. It doesn't do that. They make this stuff up. And we have to make sure that we have the tools in place in order to make sure that we move forward with cleaning the waters of the United States. That's what this is all about. And the rule is aimed at that. The comments that we have made say, good, get us back to where we were before the Supreme Court decisions, and that's what this rule does. So I want to thank the incredible leadership under the Obama administration and the Environmental Protection Agency, and particularly my friend Ken Kaposas for his stalwart work on defending the role of the Environmental Protection Agency to protect our environment. I'm proud to be part of your coalition and team. Thank you all very much.
I'm Bob Wundelgast, and I'm the president of Clean Water Action. I'm happy to be here today. Clean Water Action is a 1 million member nationwide environmental group. We were formed back in the fight for the Clean Water Act, back in the early 70s, and have fought for the Act, to protect and strengthen the Act ever since. Are pleased to be a part of and helping lead the effort to get these comments and the coalition that has worked for a number of years to restore protection under the Clean Water Act. As the Senator said, for the first 30 years of the Clean Water Act, we didn't have the problem we're looking to fix. Waters of the U.S., navigable waters of the U.S., their tributaries, and most of our wetlands got protected. And then in the early 2000s, the Bush administration, if you will, broke the Clean Water Act, imposed a new policy change that restricted protection for smaller tributaries of our navigable waters, and that took a lot of wetlands out of protection. And that's a problem that we need to fix. We've been working for a long time. We worked with the Senator to work on federal legislation unsuccessfully, and we're able to convince the Obama administration and our friends at EPA and the Army Corps of Engineers to move forward on this rulemaking. So we're here today to say thank you for moving forward on the rulemaking, but also to say we need to move forward to complete the rulemaking and get a strong rule in place to protect America's waters. Americans want clean water, and they want their government to protect their water. People value their water. People know that our rivers and streams provide their drinking water. People are personally attached to water bodies, to rivers and streams where they swim or they boat. And people get that clean water is important to our economy. They know that billions of dollars come into the economy from fishing and angling and boating and other kinds of water-related activities. And they understand that we need clean water for things ranging from brewing beer to clean technology. So people understand that clean water is important. And people also understand that big streams are connected to little streams, and that water flows downstream. They see that little stream in their neighborhood that flows down into the bigger stream that flows down into the Anacostia. I mean, people get that. People understand that it is a hydrologic cycle, that water is connected, and that if you destroy the little streams or you dump a lot of pollution in the little streams, that makes its way downstream and affects the big streams and the estuaries and the bays and the lakes that we live near and that we rely on. So people get it, people understand it, and people believe that it's important that we protect the whole range of water bodies that we rely on. And that's why 750,000, hopefully by the end of the comment period, close to 1 million people will have spoken their piece to the EPA and to the Army Corps and said We need to protect clean water. We need to fix this problem. We need to make sure that we're protecting not just the Anacostia and the big iconic waterways like that, but the little tributaries that flow part of the year, but that make a huge difference in providing flow for the Anacostia and providing clean water for the Anacostia, and in keeping pollutants out of the Anacostia and out of places like that. So that's the importance of the rulemaking to us. 750,000 people have commented, and I want to take a minute to read a couple of comments to your excerpts from them. But I also want to mention, it isn't just individuals who've commented in this. Now I need to look at my notes so I don't miss somebody. There are a number of municipalities that have commented as well, and that have passed resolutions in support of strong protections under the Clean Water Act. My home city of Philadelphia, Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, the City Council of Bethlehem, Pennsylvania, Providence, Rhode Island, Hartford, Connecticut, Maryland, you've got a bunch. Baltimore, New Carrollton, College Park, whose mayor is here today, Edmonston, and Capitol Heights, Maryland. Essex County, New Jersey, the home of the city of Newark, Austin, Texas, Travis County, Texas. In addition, there are probably another, I would bet, dozen municipalities that are working on them now, and that will, by the time the comment period is over, pass resolutions in support of the restoration as well. The Pennsylvania Fish and Boat Commission, the Philadelphia Water Department, the Massachusetts Secretary for Energy and Environmental Affairs, the Mayor of Boston. There are going to be hundreds of elected officials at all levels commenting in support of the resolution by the time the comment period is closed. So it's a broad range of support, from individuals, kids, to senior citizens, elected officials, municipal governments across the country saying, this is critical, this is important, we need to do it. Let me just read a couple pieces from a couple letters to kind of get the tone of what I think people have been saying and the importance of it. So one woman in Maryland wrote, "So often we take our clean water for granted. The first time I became aware of the importance of clean water was when I traveled through the West Bank in the Middle East. Later in life I traveled to Haiti, where children walk for many a mile to fetch drinking water. Here in the USA and our state, we've been historically free from such burdens. However, if we do not take good care to maintain the high standards that we've set, we will likely find ourselves in dire shape, much like many parts of the world." A second person wrote, "Clean water is vital to everyone. We rely on clean water for drinking, washing clothes, everyday and leisure activities. I remember having to get a typhoid shot before taking sailing lessons in the Potomac River in 1967. Please don't let that happen again." Third woman from the West Coast. "Clean water is vital to my family. We drink it to live, and we play in it to enjoy our lives. Living by the ocean, we understand that water travels a long way to get to the sea. The Half Moon Bay Harbor and surrounding water often have high pollution levels due to poor protection of our local watersheds and small tributaries." And then the last excerpt I'll read is, "Clean water is vital to my family and my state. Having grown up on and about our rivers, streams, bays, and oceans, it's clear even to me that all waterways are interconnected. It therefore should be of utmost importance to the EPA to fight to protect all bodies of water. Please keep the Clean Water Act strong and effective, and finalize a rule that will improve the health of our nation's rivers, lakes, and bays by protecting the small streams and wetlands they depend on." So I think that sums up our position and our sentiments really strongly. We're counting on the Army Corps and the engineers, and the Army Corps of Engineers and the EPA to finalize a really strong rule that restores protection back to where it was under the administrations from Richard Nixon through Ronald Reagan to Bill Clinton, and restores the Clean Water Act to what it needs to be. So my pleasure to introduce two people who are going to speak next. Ken Kaposius is Deputy Assistant Administrator for the Office of Water in US EPA, and Marie Teresa Dominguez is, oh gosh, I'm going to have to look at your title, Marie, because it's a long one. Principal Deputy Assistant Secretary of the Army for Civil Works.
Thank you very much. Thank you all for coming out on a day that's not exactly the ideal day to be outside. But really, any day when you can be outside next to a river in an urban environment, and you can know that that river is healthier and cleaner and more receptive to fish and wildlife and the eagle that I was lucky enough to see earlier, that's still a pretty good day. So, again, thank you all. Thank you so much for all of these comments. I expect to have them all read by next Thursday. That's my target.
There'll be a quiz.
There'll be a quiz. I'm going to guess most of them favor what we're doing. How's that? So that's my summation in response to comments is we agree with you. So, people have been very supportive of what we're doing. We've taken a lot of criticism, but it's organizations like yours that really help make me feel much better about the criticisms that we take. I think that Senator Cardin summed it up so beautifully. Those of you who are lucky enough to live in Maryland are very lucky to have a champion like Senator Ben Cardin. I first met him when he was elected to the House, and I was on the House staff at that time. And one of the very first things he did was he came in and said, I want to talk to you, water staff, I want to talk to you about water issues. And he has been a champion and so committed to those issues his entire time that he's represented Maryland in either the House or in the Senate. So I'm very appreciative, and again, you people that live in Maryland, you have a really good champion for water issues. And we've already heard a lot about what it is that we're doing and why we're doing it. And we are extremely committed with our joint partners in the Army Corps to make this rule as good a rule as we possibly can to make sure that we're protecting those waters that need to be protected. The Clean Water Act does not apply to everything that's wet anywhere out there. Although we have been accused of, see that little puddle out there, that we're going to assert Clean Water Act jurisdiction over that puddle. Never have, never will. But we are going to protect these kinds of waters, and we're going to protect the waters that feed these waters. That's really what this rule is about. This isn't a rule about whether we're going to protect people from polluting or destroying the Potomac River or the Anacostia directly. This is about what feeds the Potomac River and what feeds the Anacostia River. We know that 60% of the streams and wetlands in this country are seasonal. They are not there 12 months a year. And yet they provide the very essence of what makes these water bodies possible. We know that 60% of rivers and wetlands that we are unsure about their protection today because of the mess that we find ourselves in under the Clean Water Act. We know that 60% provides all or part of the drinking water for 117 million Americans. Those are 1 out of every 3 of us in this country. We were talking about drinking water and why it is that it's so important. I've had the luxury in my life to have traveled outside the United States in 28 countries: North America, Central America, South America, Eastern and Western Europe, and Asia. Of those 28 countries that I've traveled to, there have been, that I've been in, there are exactly 2 where I was not given a warning about the drinking water. The United States and Canada. And if you think about that, these are not third world countries I was traveling. I was traveling in Western Europe. I was traveling in Asia and in South America, in very sophisticated and vibrant countries. And yet we take these luxuries for granted. That we know that you can go anywhere in the United States, you can turn the tap, and there will be water that comes out, and it will be safe for you to drink. But if we can't protect those drinking water sources, we won't have that same level of assurance anywhere we go in this country. Now, people have said that what we're proposing to do is bad for America and it's bad for business. Well, I can tell you that since the Clean Water Act was enacted in 1972, the number of waters that meet the water quality standards has doubled in this country. So we still have some work to do, but it's doubled. But you know what else has happened? The economy in this country has tripled. So we don't see clean water as anything other than a boon to the economy. And we have a lot of people that use water in their lives, whether it's brewers, manufacturers, agricultural interests. It's also people in the recreation business that rely on clean and healthy waters. In fact, in the only comprehensive survey on water in the economy that's been done, for the small business world, 80% of small business owners support what our agencies are doing. They want those waters protected. So when we hear that we are doing things that are harmful to the economy, that is absolutely not true. Clean water is incredibly essential to a strong economy, and that's what our agencies are doing. We want to protect public health, we want to protect the economy, and we're going to do it by finishing this rule, and we're going to finish it next year. So I want to thank you again for all of your support, everything that you do. Keep up the work. If you give me another 100 or 200,000, I'll have to give myself 1 or 2 more days to read all the comments. But keep it up. I know we're going to get well over 1 million. We're looking forward to it. I think it's really a representation of how strongly people support the actions of our 2 agencies. Thank you very much.